We are more than halfway through this course. We've covered a lot of basics. Now we're going to get more advanced. We're going to make it interesting. Are you ready? Quick question for you first. Should you deal with all your employees equally? Should you deal with all your team members equally? Yes or no? Come on, yes or no? No. What? How is that possibly fair? Well, it all depends if you want egalitarianism or success. We're going to take a look at an area of leadership known as contingency theory or situation theory. Situational approaches to leadership. Okay, when you think about it, some people have a universal approach, same approach for everybody. And that approach is based usually on the personality of the leader and his or her attitudes towards leadership, how you take charge, how you be the boss. You know people like that. There's one way to do it, and it's like this. An alternative approach is the contingency approach. Okay, you know that word contingency. You often have a contingency plan if something goes wrong, if a virus spreads all over the world. Now, contingency does not mean backup plan. Contingency means taking into account the situation and adapting to it. In the contingency approach, you look at 3 different areas. Yes, we have the leader, same as before, and that leader's style, that leader's personality, but we also have the followers, and we analyze them and we look at what they need, how mature, how experienced they are, whether they're 16-year-olds or 55-year-olds, how much training they've had, whether they've been to school for whatever it is that your business is doing. Let's say it's a restaurant. Have they done restaurant management courses? Have they been to chef school? And then, at a higher level, we look at cohesion or cohesiveness, how well they work together as a team already. The other thing we need to look at is the situation. What is the task that we have to do? What is going on right now? Has the environment changed? Everybody watching this video has experienced a change of environment for getting work done. The restaurant industry has adapted very interestingly by focusing on delivery. The special events industry is focusing on online events. Let's see how good a follower you are. How good you are at following instructions. Grab a sheet of paper, any sheet of paper. Pause the video and go grab a sheet of paper, okay? Okay, you got your paper? Now, follow these directions exactly. You cannot ask any questions, which is handy really since we're quite far away from each other. Listen, everything I tell you to do, I will do too. So pick up your sheet of paper and stand up and close your eyes. How do I know you've got your eyes closed? I know. Let's try this. Okay, are you ready? Now take your piece of paper and fold it in half. Okay? What I'd like you to do now is tear off the top right-hand corner of the paper. Now fold the paper in half again. And again, tear off the top right-hand corner of the paper. Okay, now fold the paper in half again. This time, tear off the top left corner of the paper. You ready? Now open it up and open your eyes again. And let's see if you've got the same as me. Does yours look like this? Yes? No? When you do this exercise with many people, you get many different results. Why would that be? I gave clear instructions, didn't I? I thought so. But everybody's situation was different. And you couldn't see what I was doing. You had your eyes closed, right? Your piece of paper might have been different. Your idea of left and right might have been different. My left or your left. And you couldn't ask any questions. That didn't help either, did it? And maybe English isn't your first language and you didn't understand what I meant. That would be another variable. And maybe you just didn't give a damn and you weren't listening properly anyway. That would be another variable. Now, I'm sure that wasn't the case for you, but in the workplace that happens, right? Unless you can motivate people better using some of the techniques we learned in earlier lessons. So the piece of theory we're going to focus on today is called Hersey and Blanchard's situational theory. Hersey, a bit like the chocolate maker, and Blanchard. They are most interested in the followers. Do you remember that diagram with the 3 different circles? For them, the most important thing is the followers. What the followers are like should define how you lead them. Hersey and Blanchard talk about 4 styles of leadership: the telling style, the selling style, the participating style, and the delegating style. I think this knowledge is really valuable. The telling style is kind of one-way communication. The leader tells you what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and how to do it, and you have to follow those instructions. The selling style is more two-way. The leader needs to get buy-in from the follower. The follower wants to understand why they have to do it this way, and the leader explains, or rather persuades them, possibly using some of the techniques we've learned already. When the follower understands why they're doing it, they are likely to work better and more independently, which frees up the leader to do what the leader is good at. The participating style is when the leader and the followers work together on the solution. And you probably know from your own experience, there are certain situations where that is much, much better. Because, you know what? Nobody likes being told what to do. That's not strictly true. There are times when we do want to be told what to do. The smart leader knows when to use which method. And finally, the delegating style. That's when you have a plan, you explain your outcomes to your follower, and your follower makes it happen. Hersey and Blanchard also talk about 4 levels of follower readiness. Pretty basic looking, right? Low readiness, moderate readiness, high readiness, and very high readiness. Low readiness employees might be inexperienced. They might be very young. They might be very unsure about what they're doing. This could be their first job. Think the Mc job. This could be your 16-year-old coming to work in McDonald's or some other fast food joint. Maybe they don't even want to be there. The second level, moderate readiness, is for people who are new to the job but super enthusiastic. They might also be 16. They might be 19, they might be 20, they might be students. Maybe this is your Starbucks situation. Young, bright people, keen to do well in their job, who just don't know what to do yet. The next level is high readiness. Also very common, and maybe even more common soon as the job market shifts. This could be somebody who has 10 years in the business, but is a little bit nervous. Maybe they've been laid off. Maybe they've had to change the kind of job they're doing. And then there's very high readiness. These are your people who know what to do. They know what they're doing. They've done this kind of thing before. I think you can guess what type of leadership style is best for them. Are you ready to fill in the gaps? Which leadership style for which level of readiness? I'll give you a minute to do that now. Okay, that was easy, wasn't it? For your low readiness employee, let's say your fast food situation or your intern from high school, use the telling style. Tell them what to do, when, where, and how. For your moderate readiness, maybe your student or your person who's recently graduated, new, keen, bright, explain to them why we do stuff, and then show them how to do it and let them get on with it. Do you just leave them then? No, you keep an eye on them. You probably have some kind of hierarchy, some kind of checking in. They will probably report to somebody who's higher up the ladder than them. For your high readiness person who's got experience but is a little bit nervous or doesn't know how to do it in this situation, that's when you work together with them. You use the participating leader style. You discuss how to do it. You make the decision, but you involve them in the decision making. Ultimately, the responsibility is yours, but they play a big part in this. And that helps to give them the confidence to work well for you. And then your very high readiness. And you see this in luxury hotels and you see this in luxury restaurant chains. I'm thinking the Four Seasons, Oliver Bonacini Group, the delegating style. You hire people, you train them well, you choose people who are competent and confident and curious, ready to learn with high standards, and you can delegate to them and let them get on with it. Do not micromanage these people. You will lose all the faith they have in you. When you micromanage people like this, it's frustrating, they get restless, they move on. It's also such a waste of your own time. Does that mean you just leave them to get on completely? No, you still check in, maybe once a week, maybe once a fortnight. You just keep an eye on things, okay? But give them the responsibility and, as far as you can, let them get on with it. But do we really need all this fancy high-level theory stuff? Yes, yes, yes. What happens when you use the wrong approach? You end up with dissatisfied staff, restless staff, or worse, an absolute, complete and utter disaster that leaves you bankrupt. You know what it's like when you have a micromanaging boss who tries to tell you what to do when you know exactly what to do and you're doing it right and maybe better than they would. You know what it's like when you're stuck and you really don't know what to do and the manager's not there to help you. I'll give you an example. There was a lovely yogurt cafe in Washington called Yola. Beautiful design, delicious food. And the young owner, entrepreneur, was this cool, laid-back lady, and she wanted to be nice to her employees and wanted to be easygoing on them, and she gave them lots and lots of freedom. She delegated. The trouble was, they weren't ready for that level of delegation. They were at level 1, level 2. She probably should have used the telling or the selling style. What happened? The employees came in late. They didn't dress appropriately. They made mistakes, a lot of them. The company with a great product failed. Was the food delicious? Yeah. Did the business work? No. You've probably had the experience of the supply teacher who was just a little too cool and ended up getting nothing done with you, right? Same kind of thing in business. But in business, it may have even more severe consequences.